So, hi, I'm Cameron Bonsey. I'm the Vice President of Marketing with Coastal Maine Brands, and I'm here with Krishna Gandhi of Coastal Cultivars. And Krishna, I asked you on our show today because you folks have a cannabis cultivation operation in Massachusetts. You reached out to us, bought a significant amount of soil for growing outdoors. And tell me a little bit about your operation and why you would select somebody like Coastal Maine as your growing medium.
Yeah, so we're 100,000 square foot of canopy outdoor cultivation located around Buzzards Bay. So we're on our second season of growing right now. Yeah. And last year we tried to experiment with making our own compost mix on site. We thought it was going to be spectacular. Our growers had used Coastal Maine before and they loved Coastal Maine. I think they were kind of rolling our eyes at this the idea that we had of mixing our own. And this year, sure enough, we're back to Coastal Maine and we're in 50-gallon pots with it. And we have some pretty spectacular results. We have like some 12-foot plants. So as a joke, I put Christmas lights up on one of them because it's it looks like a Christmas tree when you go there.
We love that. It's interesting, the outdoor grows in Coastal Maine. Like, we started out as a company selling soil to independent garden centers, and then found that people were certainly using our products to grow cannabis. There was a lot of discussion about our lobster compost, mixing it with some other media and people doing their own blends. And so what we did was we said, okay, people are already using it for this. Why don't we do a blend specifically for growing cannabis? And we hired a young woman by the name of Felicia Newman, not specifically for that task, but she had already been hired by us, was a chemical engineer. She was a licensed caregiver in Maine, and Maine has had a wonderful proactive caregiver program for over 20 years. We were able to drop the soil off around the state and in Massachusetts too, to growers and get their feedback and say, we'll mix, we'll blend, we'll change. And I think that we've come across something that's pretty significant. And your experience with wanting to blend your own, I get it. That's what a lot of people do. But I think we've hit it with this particular one. And it's nice that you've had success this year. I would think that this year, what kind of year was it in managing the grow? I know you're not the grower, but you got 50-gallon containers. How many plants are you doing now?
We have about 3,400 plants on site.
Wow.
Yeah, so our team did a really good job this year, got really organized over the winter. They actually surveyed the field. So the rows are perfectly straight. Yep. Last year, they were a little bit crooked, and then those just compound larger problems. So this year, it's great. You look down the row and it's straight as an arrow. And yeah, we also have on-site wells. So as everyone in New England knows, this year has been pretty crazy drought. So having those wells has been really helpful to basically just water when we want to.
And then tell me about your brand, your actual cannabis brand.
Yeah, so we brand as number 9 collection. We call it the Sunflower Collection because we're all grown under the sun. Yep. And because we're a larger license, we wanted to kind of separate our brand from our actual company ownership, because we do work with some other groups that want toll processing or white labeling, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So that way Coastal Cultivars handles all of that. And then our brand, the number 9 collection, is sold in retail stores, prepackaged, ready to go.
So, and you have several stores in Massachusetts that are carrying it, correct?
Yeah, I think we're in about
carrying it.
Yeah, I think we're in about 30 to 40 stores pretty regularly right now. Licensed dispensaries is all the only places we sell to. And then we have one store that has the same ownership as our cultivation in Great Barrington, the Great Barrington dispensary. So we obviously do a lot of number 9 sales up there. And that's a cool building. It's a 1850s historic mansion. It was kind of the opposite of what people think of when they go to a dispensary.
Wow, that is pretty cool. And I know that I'm talking to you in Maine, and I don't get out in the field that much, or as much as I'd like to. I need to get down. We need to get some pictures. I've seen some video and I've seen some articles on you guys. It looks spectacular. And you say, I'm looking at your website, and talking about the organic farming practices that we've just mentioned. But you say the result, vigorous, clean plants with unique terpene characteristics and a wide offering of unique products each season. Do your products change a little bit? Do you use different strains? How many different strains are you doing?
Yeah, we have 8 strains in the field this year. So we've changed a little bit from last season. We had a couple really good sellers that the consumers in Massachusetts really liked, so we're repeating those. And they're also bringing in some strains that our growers have been growing for personal use for some time that they know do really well outside in Massachusetts. So Apex is one of them, Girl Scout cookies. These are well-known strains, but they've been really hunting them since they've been growing for personal use.
So when you select those strains, what kind of process is it when you're selecting the strains? Are you just getting feedback from some local growers? Or are you doing?
Well, our growing team is actually the local growers that we get feedback from. So, it is a business. So like this year we knew Jelly Rancher and Raspberry Parfait sold really well last year. So we knew we wanted to repeat those.
Yep.
And then we also know that our growers are saying, hey, Apex and cookies is going to do really well in this climate. We've been growing it for personal use for quite some time outdoors, pretty much in the same microclimate as where we're at. So that was an obvious choice to make sure we get some really quality, vigorous plants, because outdoor, if you have the bad genetics, you're not going to get a healthy crop. You need stuff that's tolerant to different weather conditions, really strong plants. They don't get blown over, rainstorm here and there doesn't bother them. Like some of the indoor genetics can be very picky.
Yeah, it's interesting. People use our products indoors, obviously, also. Totally different game. I can't imagine trying to manage 3,400 trees or plants, and especially the size in a 50-gallon container over that time. You have, who is your head grower? I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
Brennan.
Yeah. And then how many other experienced growers are you getting help from, advice from? How big is your team inside?
We have kind of 2 head growers. Brennan's, he takes ownership of a lot of the operation stuff. And then Alex, he focuses pretty much solely on the cultivation. And then we have about, right now during harvest, we have around 30 people, because harvesting all those plants and making the cure, growing and harvesting is challenging on its own, but getting the good cure is really where it's all about. So if we rush that or don't do that properly or harvest in the rain, anything like that, it totally ruins a full season's work. So we're staffed up to 30. We're probably going to ramp up somewhere around 40 people just to make sure that everything's done properly and cures as we want it to. It's
a amazingly difficult thing to harvest and cure properly with cannabis. In my mind, I've seen it on a very small scale, but the amount of work, I don't think people realize how much work it is. And then to make sure that it's done properly, and issues you can have after harvest when you're curing the plant, you can lose a majority of it then too. So there's big risk in what you're doing, right?
Yeah, we pretty much had the internal discussion recently that we need to have one of our experienced guys full-time just monitoring the cure. They make moisture meters where you can test the bud to check the percentage. If it's too dry, it doesn't smoke well. People say it smokes like hay, and that's where, unfortunately, outdoor cultivations get a bad rep. It's because people mess up the cure, and then everyone thinks, oh, all outdoor is bad. So we're trying to change that a little bit, and getting a good cure is really the most important step there.
As you come up, where are you? I mean, today is September 26th of 2022. harvest. Have you started harvesting anything, or how?
Yeah, we have actually. We tried to select, so part of the strain selection was picking strains that finish at different times. And the early strain that finished is called early lemonberry because it finishes early.
Yep.
And so sure enough, that finished first. So that's dried, that's curing right now. We're hoping to have that on the market in the next couple weeks. We're just, again, monitoring the cure process, making sure that we're not rushing anything. So we have 500 of those plants that are all down. Those are yielding like probably 2 or 3 pounds per plant, just as a rough average. So yeah, really large plants.
So just to pat Costa Maine on the back, right? It seems yield is good so far.
Yeah.
Have you done any other testing of the product yet?
Yeah, we have some that's come back from the full state compliance panel. So we've only done 3 full flower tests, but one of them was testing 23-24% total active cannabinoids, which is what we like to look at. A lot of consumers just want to see Delta-9 THC. But for us, again, trying to be that craft outdoor brand, selling to people that care about terpenes, we want to see the total active cannabinoids. And any of our flower products this year, last year was about half and half, but this year we're running full terpene profiles in all of them. So people that do want to see, wow, you have 2% terpenes in here, they get to see that.
It's interesting. I think that many living soils, you get a high, the terpenes are usually high, but I know that's been the feedback with Costa Maine, that they, and obviously the THC, I mean, the consistency of the product has been good. It's why, I'll be honest, when we go to some large grow like yours, there's always concern, right? You're like, oh my goodness, it's all on the line in a sense. So you get a little nervous, but it seems like it's worked out brilliantly. And, I think that's because of our staff and the way that we've been able. You didn't have any problem with delivery? Everything went well with that, right?
No, it's super smooth. I mean, we coordinated, and of course I was really concerned because filling 3,450 gallon pots after it's done freezing out, but before it's too late, we had a pretty narrow time frame. So I was really concerned about that lining up, and it all came perfectly just as we had discussed with Dylan, and the guys were out there busting their butt, just getting those pots filled, and they got it done. So kudos to them.
Yeah, busting their butt is true. I mean, that's a lot of work. And then you'll release these strains as a harvest and cure. So you'll be doing these in a series. Do they immediately go out to the stores from there? Do they is that how you do it? As soon as it's ready and cured, it's going out to the stores?
Yep. So as soon as it's harvested and dried, we send it out for testing. And then during that testing process, usually there's still some curing left because nothing really changes with the cure. Humidity is about the same. It just needs some time. And then, so we're hoping in the next week or two, we'll have early lemonberry on store shelves.
And then if somebody is looking for your products, is it your website? Is it the coastalcultivars.com? Is that the best place to look?
If they search number 9 collection, so it's the word number and then the number 9 collection.com, that has all of our products. So right now we also have a vaporizer collection because all of our products that go into pre-rolls is full flower pre-rolls. So the trim that we pull out of that, as well as it goes through QC belt, anything that doesn't look like we want to smoke it on our own, we pull that out, and that went to biomass. So we have a vape line from those, and pretty soon we're going to have a gummy line coming out soon.
Yeah, I see that on your website. And I mean, what's really reassuring, I would say, on my side, is to know the process that you use to grow. People talk to us about that all the time. What goes in, what you're feeding the plants, so you're doing that naturally. You've got a local soil provider that people trust in Costa Maine. And then hopefully the efficacy is exactly what you expect it to be. And so far that seems to be great yield, great terpenes, cannabinoids. It seems like you're going to have a really nice harvest.
Thanks. Yeah, it's just a challenge now actually getting it done. You know, we have staffed up, have a strong team that love what they do. And but it's not without challenges. You know, it looks like this week we have a pretty good weather window.
Yeah.
But still making sure that, you know, we only have so much space to actually dry and cure without creating more issues there. So hopefully it's a nice dry rest of the month and we can keep doing what we're doing.
I also think what's reassuring to me, you know, I'm a father of three. My kids are 36, 32, and 30, so that'll give you a sense of how old I am. And you know, in this world, it's not an easy world. I mean, the world is different, and also the different work ethics and the perceptions of things. What I've always seen, because I've physically been out at these grows myself, and the people that work in these grows work their tails off. And so in that sense, it's reassuring to me because you hear other stuff where people can't get staff, they can't do this. Have you had problems in getting staff? And then when you ultimately get staff, has it been a good crew?
Yeah, we've been fortunate to have a really solid crew from the start, a kind of a core crew. And then as we've hired on, you know, we like to hold them to a high standard, and they set a good example for new hires. You know, staffing right now is definitely challenging for everyone.
Yep.
Cannabis industry being kind of new in Massachusetts, when you advertise for a cannabis position, you do drum up a little bit more interest. You know, if we were offering the same wages picking cranberries or something like that, I don't know if we get the same level of interest, but being that it's cannabis and you have to get licensed with us and badged with us and go through the process, and you're kind of formally in the industry at that point, it's a great gateway for people to get involved in the industry, is starting off as you know, harvest help or bud tenders, that kind of thing, and they learn all about the industry.
Yeah. No, I think that, look, anybody wants to be doing something they love and something they're truly interested in. And it seems like you get a staff that's what they're doing. And I believe deeply that impacts the quality of the ultimate plant, not only from what you're planting it in, but also by the care and the emotional care that the plant receives. I believe that 100%. And being outdoors in the proper sunlight, it sounds like you've hit a home run. I mean, you're in Boston, so the Red Sox didn't hit a home run this year, but it doesn't look like the Patriots are going to do anything, and the Celtics have an issue. So at least we're going to have good product anyway.
Exactly. There's definitely going to be some good cannabis on the market this winter.
But I'm really happy that Coast of Maine was able to help deliver a high quality product. Anything that we can do to help, we're happy to help. I'm glad we're able to promote you a little bit. And
yeah, it's been a great relationship. I mean, knowing that, you know, when we need more soil, we can just call you guys and you guys will actually deliver on the timeline that you discussed is great. You know, we mixed our own soil. That was during the pandemic and everything. So there were legitimate challenges there, but that program took way more time than we thought, cost way more money than we thought. And, but yeah, Coast of Maine was a really, really great partner to work with.
I would say, you know, that is what we do. And there's a lot of growers that are, I go back to when I first got hired with Coast of Maine. I knew very little about soil, plants, gardening, and I was intimidated going to garden centers. What I found was I knew everything about plants and nothing about soil. When I started selling to cannabis growers, they knew everything about both. Of course, they were growing a specific plants in several different strains, but the basics were there. They were so knowledgeable about what happens in the soil and all that soil biology and how it ultimately feeds the plant. And then having staff that really cares, like your staff cares. We had tons of raw material supply issues this year, like everybody did, and we were still able to do it. And that goes back to folks like Felicia Newman and Dylan Saferstein that works with us, and that coordination and trying to put that good energy into a delivery with the best soil that you can possibly get. And then the results, working with a company like yours, that's going to benefit the consumer and the people that want to take care of themselves. So I think we all win on that.
Yeah, we take a lot of pride in it. And, last year was such a rough year for us. We were all there working 7 days a week.
Yeah.
I was sleeping in the parking lot in my van.
Yep.
And it was just, pure chaos that, it was kind of a bonding experience for our team getting through last year. And now this year, having such great weather, nice soil, plants are looking great. It's, things are going well.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on. I really appreciate spending time with us. I've got to get down there and take some images. Hopefully I can do something offline and get down there. And then
anytime.
Stuff. So, and then what's your Instagram page?
Number 9 collection. So at number 9 also.
Yeah, I know I follow you guys, but again, I'm too old to remember.
Yeah, and then we also have kind of a sort of co-branding that we do with we're trying to do with other outdoor cultivations that grow in similar conditions, sun and soil, which is just to kind of help promote the idea of quality outdoor cannabis. And we're trying to keep that separate, so any other outdoor farms that want to participate in that can, but it's the same idea. We're growing under the sun, we use soil. It's not going to smoke like hay if you do it right, but there's all these amazing environmental benefits. So even if you could care less how it smokes, there are consumers that don't really care what they buy, but if you care about the environment, you should definitely purchase outdoor flower. I like to joke that if you show up to dispensary in a Prius, definitely buy outdoor flower, because by the time grow lights and dehumidifiers are running, your carbon footprint's pretty serious.
It's a lot. Yeah. The more we can do to protect the planet, the better off we are. So I appreciate your partnership. Thanks for coming on, and good luck.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks a lot, Cameron.
All right. Have a great day.